when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Goodwin. I'm a native from Tulsa. I published a newspaper here for over 40 years, black newspaper. There are only two in the state. One in Oklahoma City, one here. I also played in the high school band. Graduated in 1952 from high school. But anyway, I know a lot of musicians do the newspaper business through the years. And highly impressed. I haven't heard you, but I've heard a lot about you.
Yes.
I've been reading a lot about you.
Oh, thank you.
You know the kid out of New Orleans that used to be on the night show, that family?
Yes, Marcellus family.
You know them?
Yeah, I do well.
I've had the opportunity to meet them. How long have you been playing?
Well, gosh, it's over 24, 25, 26 years now.
You're from?
From New York City.
New York City.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to get in the music business? You got that in your family, or?
Well, my father was a cellist, but it started in school for me, through my mother actually, and then it evolved into me working out of school in the local bands in Queens, a lot of local bands, and then that evolved into working with some of the name acts. And eventually, about the age of 19, I decided to audition for a music conservatory, New England Conservatory of Music in Boston. I studied there, and then I had the opportunity to work with such great artists as Shaka Khan and Melvin Moore, even Quincy. Worked with him for a while.
So, how many instruments do you play?
Well, I play all the saxophones and flute, mainly keyboards, a little bit of keyboards. I'm a composer as well, but primarily saxophone and flute.
Are these amplified instruments that you play, or are they just plain?
No, they're acoustic, but you know, they amplified, of course, with microphones and a whole lot of other things.
I'm sure you have a great appreciation for that. A lot of the older people, like myself, it's something pretty new to us, and we appreciate the natural music.
Sure.
You know, there's something about the amplification that distorts it.
I understand.
As far as I'm concerned, but I think it's good for audiences. But they've got so many wonderful things that are happening nowadays electronically.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, my mother's 93 years old. And,
wow.
She used to play. She taught elementary school, but she also played piano in the church and stuff like that.
Sure.
Simple piano. Graduated from Christian University, and she's still living. But my sister surprised her the other day. She hadn't seen a piano in 15 years because,
wow.
You know, she got retired from teaching school, and so she bought her keyboard.
Sure.
And she's been taking her that thing and just having a ball. I went in the house one day, she's in there patting her foot and playing, and it's really a joy. She's, you know, because it gives her something to do.
Sure.
And it just kind of revived her. But I'm sure that you make a lot of people happy with your music. Where's your music taking you thus far?
Pretty much all over the world. I've been fortunate to visit Japan at least once a year. Europe at least on average once a year to every 2 years. I go to Europe.
Within the last how many years?
Well, let me see. I was in Europe last year. Oh, well, for the last, 18 years now.
You're 37?
I'm 38.
38.
Yeah. Actually, the first time I went to Europe, I was 18, so it's a little longer than that. 20 years.
What's your birth sign?
Scorpio.
You were born when?
In 1957.
What month?
November 4th, 1957.
So my brother's born November 4th. He's an attorney here.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we got that in common. He's been practicing law about 30 years.
Oh, great.
And I had Nat was born November 3rd.
Uh-huh.
I was born December 7th, 1935. My father was born December 6th.
Wow.
You know, music to me is like a hug. It's universal. Doesn't have any language barrier,
Right.
as it were. And it does a lot for bringing people together.
Yes, it does.
And I think that that's one of the greatest accomplishments that I see among music lovers. That they disregard all ethnic relationships. How have you been treated in your travels?
Oh, very well. I have no complaints. Everywhere I go around the world, I must say I've been very fortunate that I meet good people everywhere I go, and so the treatment is always very nice, very warm. People are very receptive to what we do. You know, we develop a lot of good relationships with people worldwide.
You primarily play solo, or do solo? Actually, you have a band that backs you up? Or?
I have a band that backs me up. You know, I usually go out under my own name. However, every now and then I will go out with other acts. About 2 years ago, I did play in Switzerland with Quincy Jones and his band. I've worked with Stanley Clarke, Al Jarreau, Roberta Flack, Lionel Richie. You know, worked with different people.
Your name, how did it come about? Is that a given name?
It's my middle name, yes.
And what is your full name?
I don't tell the whole thing. Actually, my full name is Jerome Najee. Rashid is my last name.
Is that a Muslim name or not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's an Arabic name, actually.
Arabic.
Yeah.
I see. And that was your given name when you were born?
Yes.
Your father, was he in the Philharmonic, or I heard you say he was a cellist?
He was a cellist, and from what my mother tells me, that he did do some understudy work with the Philharmonic, New York Philharmonic. I mean, unfortunately, he passed away when I was very young. I was about 3 years old when he died, so I don't really know a whole lot about him, other than what she slips at me every now and then. You know, but from what I understand, he did do some work with them.
Is she still single, or is she remarried?
No, she's remarried now. She's living in Vermont with her husband. So,
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
well, I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Any of them in music?
Yes, I have one brother who's a musician and a guitar player. He actually produces my records for me.
So have you ever been a Grammy? Well,
I've been nominated for one. I haven't won, but I have been nominated. My first album was nominated for Best R&B Instrumental Performance. And I think I lost to David Sanborn in another one.
when was this?
This was in 1986.
And how are you faring now? Do you have any late records out?
Yes, I have a new album out. Actually, it's a collection of Stevie Wonder songs from the Key of Life. And I have Mr. George Duke playing on there, Stanley Clarke, Herbie Hancock, Ray Parker Jr., just a whole bunch of musicians playing on the record.
I read about that in the Daily Paper today.
Yeah.
A very nice write-up in the entertainment section about you.
Oh, thank you.
And it told about the Key of Life.
Yes.
And that was a great album. I remember Stevie when he made that in the 70s.
That's right.
Never had an opportunity to meet him personally, but some of the older guys like T-Bone Walker, Jimmy Rushing.
Right, yeah.
Clarence, this is home of Clarence Love, incidentally, who had an all-girls band years ago, big band, back in the early 30s, and they're in the Hall of Fame here. Danny Fields and a guy named Al Denny. I don't know, in New York, I think, I want to say Clark Terry's from there.
Yeah. Well, he does live there. He was living there.
Yeah, Dizzy Gillespie was.
He was there in New Jersey for a long time.
Yeah, he used to hang around these parts.
Yeah.
All those guys used to come here. Arthur Bragg's Night of the Wild Review back in the early 50s. And so we used to, this was kind of like a crossroads in the United States.
Yeah.
Foreign entertainers, they go to Kansas City, they play Dallas.
Sure.
And then back in those days, the transportation wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
And so they drove a lot and by bus. And so when they would get here, they would always stop over here. There was a lot of segregation back in the 50s. We had separate hotels, if you will, and the musicians didn't stay in the hotels. They had to stay with families.
Oh, okay.
So families got, intimate with them like that because they would take them in.
Sure.
And they would stay 2-3 weeks sometimes down
That's
in Washington.
great.
So times have really changed. I don't think you've had to experience very much of that.
No, I haven't. I've never experienced that, quite honestly. I think, I guess I've been fortunate to come at a different time. Different challenges today.
Right. They still exist, but it's better that you don't have to. Because people are people, everybody got 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 feet, a brain to use them with.
You're right.
And the more we recognize that, the better off we'll all be.
That's true.
God He makes everything different.
That's true.
But we all have something to contribute. And we all have other talents.
Yeah, you're right.
And so we look for the good in people. And I'm sure that, like I say, you brought a lot of people together through your playing. How many pieces are in your backup bands that they vary?
Yeah, well, it varies, but tonight I'm carrying 5 pieces with me.
And how long is your concert usually?
Usually, well, it depends. If it's, like tonight we have 3 acts on the bill, so it'll probably be about an hour to 65 minutes.
For yourself,
Yeah.
personally?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other songs that you might play tonight?
Well, I've done 6 solo albums, so I'll be doing at least selections from all of those 6 albums. Also the new album, which makes the 6th album.
What's the minimum numbers that those records have sold?
Oh, well, my first 4 albums went gold. The fifth and sixth album haven't reached that yet, but my first 4 albums have all achieved gold status. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you haven't had a bad one?
Huh?
At this point, you haven't had any?
Well, you know, I've been very fortunate that people have been supportive. And I've toured a lot, so the live performances help a lot.
You said your brother helps you produce those. Do you have, what recording company takes you all, or do you have your own?
Yeah, no, I'm now signed to EMI Records, but we have our own studio in New York and one in my home in Oakland, California.
You have a home in Oakland?
Yeah.
EMI is who?
EMI is EMI Thorne. They're a British company. They own Capitol Records, Virgin Records. They're a huge electronic company that's in a whole bunch of worldwide things.
Yeah, Capitol's been around a while.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. So they own Capitol, and they own Virgin and a few other labels.
And I guess you